We are called to order, but we are actually not going to officially start the meeting now. We don't quite have a quorum yet. We're waiting for another council member to arrive. However, we can do some things that don't require an official vote, and those include opening the meeting, which we're doing, and we are going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and remain standing, please, for the invocation that is read by Councilman Vasanella.
Let us take the next few moments of silence to each seek in our own way whatever sources of inspiration will grant us the strength and power in our thoughts and our decisions to be for the benefit of all people at all times. Amen.
Okay, Madam Clerk, will you call roll?
Councilman Chase.
Here.
Councilwoman Francois. Deputy Mayor Kramer.
Here.
Mayor Levine. Councilman Prasad. Councilman Regan. Councilwoman Sherman.
Here.
Councilman Vasanella.
Here.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, so we'll start our commendations. Do we have someone here to accept the commendation for Week of the People? We do. Okay.
Yes.
So if, and Councilwoman Francois has arrived. So if we wait a moment.
She has
So do you want to go to another one? Why don't you go to the next one? Go to the
Okay. So the, well, why don't I do the next one? And that'll be honoring Gina Shanella. So Ms. Shanella, please come on up.
Yeah, it would.
Thank you, Council, for honoring me with your...
Wait till you get, gotta wait till you get the honor. I got to honor you.
Always let the politicians speak.
So you're going to do the, no.
Perhaps your folks want to come up too. So I think the commendation is relatively self-explanatory. Franklin Township, Somerset County Mayor and Township Council, commendation. Whereas the state of New Jersey took ownership of the house on 109 Van Cleef, and whereas the house fell into disrepair, causing a blight on the community, and whereas Gina Shanella took notice of the property and decided to take action, and whereas she not only took it upon herself to clean up the property, but she also organized a petition drive to make the state aware of the situation, and whereas she organized several people to clean up the property, including the wooded area that was strewn with hundreds of glass and plastic bottles, aluminum cans that are now properly recycled, discarded sinks, stoves, an oven, tarps, carpeting, padding, PVC pipes, vinyl pool liner, dozens of pressure-treated lumber boards, furniture, a hot tub,
Wow.
wire fencing, and other miscellaneous debris in the area. And whereas she presented the petition to the state so that the state of New Jersey has allocated funds to demolish the building before the end of 2012. And whereas Gina Shalala has brought honor to the Girl Scouts by demonstrating her leadership in her application for the Gold Award, the highest award presented by the Girl Scouts. Therefore, I, Deputy Mayor Philip Kramer, on behalf of the Mayor and Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, New Jersey, do hereby salute and acknowledge Gina Shanella and the Girl Scouts of America for enriching the lives of this community and setting an example to other youth. So here is. Pose for a picture?
Oh.
And if you want to say a few words?
Now I can talk. Thank you, Council, for honoring me with your commendation. I appreciate this recognition, and I'm excited to see the end result. I am proud to have been a Girl Scout since I was 6 years old, and I'm fortunate enough to have the support of my Scout Master, Kim Hadley, for the past 11 years. I have been working on this goal project for 9 months, and it really taught me how to take leadership for a community concern. I learned new skills how to coordinate a project from start to finish. It is very rewarding to have the support of so many neighbors, and I'm happy that my actions have benefited the community in various ways. My dad and I met with Mr. Kramer and spoke on numerous occasions since I started my project. He generously gave his time, advice, and guidance. I really appreciate your help, Mr. Kramer. Thank you very much. Council, thank you again for your commendation and for all the great work you do for our town.
Mr. Vasanella, would you like to come up and present an award to the Boy Scouts?
This is,
That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Okay. Seems like I was just here not too long ago, something to do with the Boy Scouts. This is not about Eagle projects, though. This is a special commendation we're doing tonight. Well, I'll read it first, and then you can come up. Commendation. Whereas following a meeting with Robert S. Baden-Powell, the British founder of Boy Scouts and author of Scouting for Boys, William D. Boyce of Chicago incorporated the Boy Scouts of America on February 8th, 1910. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America provides a program for young people that builds character, trains them in the responsibilities of participating citizenship, and develops personal fitness. And whereas on Saturday, September 8th, 2012, the following Boy Scouts and leaders of Troop Number 156 participated in the Operation Secure Shred program, sponsored by the Somerset County Board of Freeholders. I'm going to read the names involved. Forgive me if I mispronounce any. O'Brien Dennison, Douglas Hood, Gary Redden Jr., Dylan Romine, Owen Zabo, Nick Zarillo, and two of the adult leaders, Doug Hood, although I believe that's the misprint, and Wayne Zabo. And whereas these Boy Scouts and leaders, in giving their time and energy to help with this community service, have shown themselves to be indicative of the spirit of scouting. Therefore, I, James Vasanella, on behalf of Brian D. Levine, the mayor of Franklin Township, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, on behalf of the entire Township Council and all the residents, do hereby commend and thank the Boy Scouts and the leaders of Troop Number 156, and wish all Boy Scouts and leaders and administrators continued success and enjoyment of the spirit of scouting. Come on up, don't be bashful. Now, you guys are a little younger than the Eagle Scouts that we sometimes honor here, but I'll let your leader come up and say a word about what you guys did. But I know sometimes we forget that Boy Scouts are Boy Scouts for many years before they become eligible, and some achieve Eagle Scout. And during those several years, you're Boy Scouts, you continually do community service and projects that are really a benefit to the town while developing skills and character for yourself. So again, thank you on behalf of Franklin and the council, and if your leader can come up, maybe say a word about the program that you accomplished. Or your patrol leader. Just, you could introduce yourself and say whatever you'd like about the project you completed, and I'll hand the rest of you your commendations.
Okay. Thank you for recognizing Troop 156 for the service that we did. I also want to thank our sponsor, the Middle Bush Firehouse, and please let us know if any other services we can help you with. We meet Monday nights. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Did any of the leaders want to? Okay, so let me get these out to you here. And if you want to come up front, I know some believe parents were looking to get a picture. It might look a little nicer if you were over here. I'll let the patrol leader choreograph this. And here, while you're up here, why don't you get these? Might be the same. And it is Doug Hood. I'm used to Doug Hutt, who's another troop leader. Here, Doug Hood is the patrol leader, and I believe his father is one of the volunteers. There you go. Congratulations. Sorry I don't know you all by name. Nicholas? There you go, Nicholas. Are you on here? Thank you. Can't forget the two parent leaders. I see we have one left. Whoops. Apology, no, there are two left. So you'll receive these on behalf of both?
Yes.
Thank you. Keep up the good work, guys.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Councilwoman Kimberly Francois, and I happen to be on the Week of the People committee. And I see our chairman is here, so Mr. Percy Sanders, would you come on up? In the meantime, while he's coming up, I'd like to acknowledge the people and make sure if you're here, I'd like for you to come up. So I'm going to call out the people that we're going to be giving commendations to. And the purpose of this part of the ceremony tonight is to give commendations to our corporate sponsors and donors that helped to make Week of the People an overwhelming success. So if you hear your name or your company, please come up, and then we'll give the commendations to everybody at one time. All State of Somerset, Chetan Watawar, is he here? They couldn't make it? Okay. What about St. Peter's? Reverend Tabari, he's not here, I don't see him. Okay. Comprehensive Orthopedic Therapy, George Jindy. Good. Hold on to that one. John Scalfani from Township Pharmacy. Wasn't able to make it. Somerset Park Pharmacy, Joan Seidman. Okay. BJ's Wholesale. We had a lot of sponsors and donors this year, but people are very busy, and we understand why they can't make it, but we'll make sure they get their commendations. Frank's Building Supply Company. Anybody here from Frank's Building? No? Frank McScorley from PIM Brands. Hanson Automotive, Kenny Hanson. And last but not least, Applebee's of Piscataway. Hercules, Kimberly Bryan. Okay, I know we have some people here from Magnar Bank. Frank Lanky, you're in the back? Okay, great. All right. So we're going to do a group photo. I'll read the commendation, and our chairman will say a few words. The commendation reads, we, Mayor Brian Levine and Councilwoman Kimberly Francois of the Township of Franklin in the County of Somerset and State of New Jersey, on behalf of our Township Council and all residents of the Township of Franklin, do hereby extend those names that I called, appreciation and commendation for their active part in making the 2012 Week of the People celebration an overwhelming success. Week of the People is an event that we have every year. We hold it every year. And the whole intent of that is to bring all the diversity in the township together in a celebration of a week long of events, which include basketball tournaments, talent shows, showcase, music extravaganzas, and we have lots of food and just good times for the week, the first week of August. And the Week of the People started, was it 50 years ago? 41 years ago. By the Somerset Community Action Program. And without the support of our community sponsors and corporate donors, we could not have that event every year. So I'm going to let the chairman say a few words, and then we'll take our photos.
Okay, I'm Percy Sanders, chairperson for the Week of the People. I'd like to thank all the corporate sponsors and the donators, and also we've had quite a few behind the scenes, I like to call them, such as Parks and Recreation, the Town Council, with their work. I'd like special thanks to Councilman Carl Wright and Miss Kimberly Francois, Councilwoman Kimberly Francois, the FYI, and there's a few other people I can't think of right this minute. But as Miss Francois just finished saying, the community has come together and is worked toward our theme. Our theme was community in unity, and this year it really has come together as such. We have a lot of things we do with our youth. The youth program organizes the basketball tournaments, and we have such other group organizations such as the Divas and Gents that do performances and help fundraise with us. And we will be doing some fundraising throughout the year, so be on the lookout for Week of the People fundraising. We really need everyone's help, and I guess that's about it, I think. And again, thank you, corporate people. Without you, we couldn't have done it.
Who's here?
Well, on behalf of Magyar Bank, myself and Victoria Gorman, who's here with me, our New Brunswick branch manager, I want to say thank you. I want to congratulate the Week of the People for the work that they do, the Somerset Community Action Program. Magyar Bank takes pride in being a community bank. We don't look to just meet the financial needs of the communities, but the human service needs of our community. And it's something that we're very, very proud to participate in for the last many, many years. And it's something we look forward to continuing years going forward.
Thank you so much, and we really appreciate your support. Would you like to say something?
On behalf of Comprehensive Orthopedic Physical Therapy, I would also like to congratulate Week of the People. It was a fantastic week of community events. We are very glad to participate. We have been for the last couple of years. Our facility, we're located right in Somerset, and we are happy to serve the community as well. Most of our patients do come from right here in Franklin Township, and we're very glad that we can also give back. So thank you, and thanks again, Percy, for all of your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, you want a photo? Okay.
Roz going? Yeah. Kimberly, you can stay right there.
Someone to receive it? Is there someone here?
Okay, this is Cybersecurity Week, so we have a of the month, I'm sorry, and we have a proclamation for that. Whereas we recognize the vital role that technology has in our daily lives and in the future of our state and nation, whereby today many citizens, schools, libraries, businesses, and other organizations use the internet for a variety of tasks, including keeping in contact with family and friends, managing personal finances, and performing research, enhancing education, and conducting business. And whereas critical sectors are increasingly reliant on information systems to support financial services, energy, telecommunications, transportation, utilities, healthcare, and emergency response systems. And whereas the use of the internet at the primary and secondary school levels in this state enhances the education of youth by providing them with access to online education and research materials, and at institutions of higher education and the use of information technology is integral to teaching and learning, research and outreach and service. And whereas internet users and our information infrastructure face an increasing threat of malicious cyber attack, loss of privacy from spyware and adware, and significant financial and personal privacy losses due to the identity theft and fraud. Now, therefore, I, Brian D. Levine, Mayor, and Philip Kramer, Deputy Mayor of the Township of Franklin, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2012 as Cyber Security Awareness Month in the Township of Franklin Township.
So the reason Roz, Kimberly, and I are up here is because Kimberly and I are on the IT steering committee, and so we're doing this together, and Roz has been very involved with the trying to motivate and procure the new website that will be coming on next month. So together we are presenting this, along with the idea of having our IT staff put together for FTTV some roughly 30-second commercial spots over this next month on ways to upgrade your home cybersecurity. For instance, I live out in the boondocks, so I figured why put a password on my Wi-Fi, and they instructed me as to how I am liable regardless, and how with now just an iPad, someone driving by could get on my Wi-Fi, download something, and I would be responsible for that. So there'll be a number of spots during the month of October to help you upgrade your own security. Thank you. Did you want to say anything? Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now we have a quorum, so we can begin the official portion of the meeting. And this work session and regular meeting of the Township Council is called to order in accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. Be advised that adequate notice of this work session, regular meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, was made by posting on the bulletin board at the municipal building and transmitting to the officially designated newspapers a list of dates annually, indicating that this work session regular meeting would take place at the Franklin Township Municipal Complex at 7 p.m. on Monday, September 24th, 2012, In addition, a copy of the notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. So, we have completed the commendations. On the agenda was the next item was an executive session. For numerous reasons, that executive session has been canceled and will likely be rescheduled for the end of October. Mainly, one of the main reasons is one of the main people involved with that could not be here now, and in fairness to that council member, we wanted that council member to be able to share in that issue. The mayor's report, obviously we will skip, and I'll hold my deputy mayor's report. So we can move on to the public session. Public discussion. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is open for public discussion. Motion is carried. Any item of interest which does not have a public hearing of its own is available for public discussion. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise their hand, and when recognized, give your name and address. So, okay.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, seeing no one coming forward for the public session, I suggest we close the public session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion is carried. Council comments. Councilman Chase, would you like to begin?
Well, I wanted to report a bit from the Public Works Committee, which met on September 18th. Some items of discussion will apply for state aid for the resurfacing of JFK Boulevard from Webster to Eastern Avenue, which is the worst part at present. The work will be done whether we get the state aid or not, but we usually do. Next summer when school is out and there will at least not be school bus traffic. The concept of replacing the antiquated water main down Route 27 below Route 518, replacing it with connections to South Brunswick water system is being studied by South Brunswick. We have an old roller for rolling pavement, which we no longer use as we have a newer one. Hillsborough borrows this. They have asked that we sell it to them, probably for $1. It was new in 1988. We could borrow it back if ever we needed it. And one thing I just want to explain, not strictly a public works matter, but related to the Kingston Village Advisory Committee. Item K on the consent agenda is a resolution asking the Somerset County freeholders for no left turn at rush hour signs to be put on Laurel Avenue at Sycamore and Union Streets in Kingston. Residents of those streets have complained about cut-through traffic trying to get around the traffic light at Laurel Avenue and Route 27. The residents originally requested speed bumps, but the traffic was not enough over speed limits to justify these. Our engineer, Tom Zelenek, proposed no left turn signs as an alternative, which has to be requested from the county because Laurel Avenue is a county road. And I think that's everything. I'll speak up again when we get to discussion items.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Sherman.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a few things. I just came from a library board meeting, and I'm just happy to report that the branch in Franklin Park off of 27 is doing very well. They're getting quite a few people stopping in there, and happy it's a success for them. I did want to just tell you a few things having to do with the Cultural Arts Council. We had a wonderful art display this Sunday at the library in the community room. Our visual arts committee just set up that room so professionally. I was taken aback when I walked in there. They had refreshments set up. They had artists set up around the room, wonderful artists from the township, so we can be proud of where we're going. There's going to be more events like that. They're planning an art show next summer in Colonial Park. They have lots of things that are happening, so I suggest anyone interested in getting involved or getting on our email list, email us at franklincac@gmail.com so we can add you to our list and let you know what's happening. One of the things that is happening in October, we have a Literary Arts Council or Committee, and they have set up a series of poetry readings. The first poet to read his work is the Pulitzer Prize poet Paul Muldoon, who lives here in Franklin Township. We're very proud that he has agreed to come and read his poetry. Again, if you email us and you have an interest in attending that, there'll be 3 other readings by other poets and poetesses after that. So if you're interested, franklincac@gmail.com. And that's my report.
Thank you. Thanks to Deputy Mayor Kramer for running through the whole meeting when I was in my absence, pardon me. Thank you. Councilman James Vassanella.
Thank you. Just a few items. I don't know, excuse me, if any of you have been driving down Hamilton Street recently, but the sidewalks scattered throughout Hamilton Street that had been in need of repair, we, I believe, have just completed or near completion of fixing most all, if not all, of the problematic sidewalk pieces scattered through the SID district, the Special Investment District. And that money was gotten from, I believe it was a county grant, leftover money from an EDIB grant, I believe. The point is that we did not have to use township funds, nor did we have to tax or make any further assessment from the store owners on Hamilton Street to complete that project. So, and the signs are up, and a few other enhancements have been made there, and we're getting a lot of good feedback from the storefronts, the store owners on Hamilton relative to that. ELS, basically the committee that handles all the concerns and needs of our volunteer rescue squads, meets once every other month. It is a public meeting. I just mentioned it tonight. There's nothing special going on there, but we have had Sergeant Teddy Sierra was our representative in-house who took care of that committee, basically oversaw that committee and handled most of their issues. He was promoted here at our last meeting to a sergeant and now has taken on a lot of other responsibilities assigned by the chief. And Brian Ferrara, a longtime Franklin police officer, is replacing him as the township representative. And there are a lot of issues that go on, nothing immediate, but the help we get from the police and the police representative is instrumental to the success of our rescue squads. And again, that meeting is open to the public if anybody ever has any interest in coming. Otherwise, our cable committee met again and is diligently pursuing the legwork involved with researching what the town needs to have research to come up with recommendations for our negotiations that will probably start sometime next year with our cable franchise renewal. Thanks to Ron Biava, who after a couple years absence from the committee has come back to help really steer the group with its work towards the ascertainment period. And that's about it. The only thing I'll add to Councilman Chase's report for the Public Works Committee is you may seen and will see more road resurfacing going on in the township. The list on the website are usually up to date, and we're coming in on closing in on the road repaving season. If you have any question as to whether or not a road or your road is being paved, you can look on the website. Some of the roads that were approved this year you may see done in the spring, so don't worry if for some reason they aren't done in this cycle. We obviously don't do in the winter. If there's any questions, you can contact the Township Engineer's Office or me personally for any more updates. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Kimberly Francois.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On September 10th of this month, the Franklin Youth Initiative celebrated its 5-year anniversary. So we had a happy birthday party. And what we did was we celebrated all the achievements and programs and the youth that we've affected over the last 5 years. The Franklin Youth Initiative is a grassroots organization that really was created by the Township, and it's involved with community organizing. We have a education subcommittee, a faith-based subcommittee, which includes a lot of our houses of worship, a social services subcommittee, a business subcommittee, which our Councilwoman Sherman chairs that up, and a public safety subcommittee. Through that structure, we have been able to implement a police academy program with our police department for the last 2 years, which has been phenomenal. Employment training and job expos for our youth. We've had, obviously, youth and teen recreation and summer recreation programs, Safe Night, workshops that included Teen Fit, gang workshops, anti-bullying workshops, parent and mentoring workshops, Girls on the Run workshops. We've had some back-to-school activities which supported Parkside and Edgemere. We have a Boys Council which has included over 320 young men, a Girls Circle. In addition, we've been partnering with our Board of Education with a lot of the programs in the school, gang prevention, their police officers, community resources, social services, and so there were over 40 people in attendance that have been involved in the Franklin Youth Initiative on September 10th over the last 5 years. And I think it's a strong testimony of Franklin Township and the community support that we get from the residents and the businesses here. And there were some young people in attendance at that meeting and talked about the benefits that they had as a result of participating in a lot of the programs that we put forth. And so I just want to say on behalf of the council and our township staff and our police department and of course our mayor that we need to continue to move forward on behalf of our youth, and we have something to be proud of, the way that we have implemented so much change and affected so much success in these young people's lives. And we also can I don't want to say brag, but we certainly do have data to support that we have seen a reduction in gang activity as a result of a lot of those programs. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Phil Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually wanted to talk to you about this before the meeting, but unfortunately I couldn't. A couple of months ago now, you had mentioned about at the Franklin, I'm sorry, at the Somerset, I'm sorry, at the Elizabeth Avenue Firehouse, there was a charity event for a fallen firefighter or an injured firefighter. And you were taken aback by the signs of the Democratic and Republican parties out front. I had thought I'd known what was going on. I did want to check on that before I said anything. And what had actually happened, I understand your point of view. You saw that, and maybe that is the point of view others might have had when they saw it, but I wanted to explain what happened. The Democratic Party reached out to the Republican Party in this case, and having donated some money and donated time, spoke to the Republican Party, who also gave an enormous amount of time. And the idea of the signs was to show bipartisan, forget politics, everybody united together to support this event. That the message was not, this is a political event, but actually that this was not a political event, that the both were involved. So I just wanted to clear up that, and because if you saw it that way, then perhaps others did too, and now we know the truth. Along those lines, this is the award for our township attorney. No, this is my deputy mayor. No, this is the award because the Republican chair reached out to me for the idea of a softball game, something that had been kicking around in his head, a charity event between the police force and the over 50s senior league to have a baseball game, and donations at the game would go to the food bank. And that game was this past Sunday at noon. It was, so I don't like sports, but I was really excited. I was actually, concerned when the team I was assigned to, which was the police, I was randomly assigned to them, were behind and excited when they were ahead. And it was a very close game. I forget the final score, but it was like 10-13. And it was a lot of fun. They earned a lot of money. And the PBA wound up donating $500 to the food bank in addition to what was donated by people there. They bought pizza for everyone there to partake in. So it was very nice, and Mr. LaCourte is now talking about perhaps a spring event and a fall event, perhaps one to benefit the animal shelter and the fall event to benefit the food bank again. And this trophy, as I will once again shamelessly and for the last time this year advertise about the Canal Fest on October 6th, the trophy will be given out at 12:15 to a representative of the police to commemorate their win. Please come to the Canal Fest. It's from 11 to, I believe, 5. 4 or 5. There'll be food vendors, there'll be crafts vendors, kids games, canoeing, and a lot of music. And last year the music was really, really good. So please come out to the Canal Fest, October 6th, rain date October 7th, and you can watch the award going out. And that's all I had, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And before I go, Councilman Fasenella had one other thing.
Oh, Mayor, thank you. I appreciate that. I just was going to mention, I had forgot to mention when I was reporting on Hamilton Street that a new restaurant has opened there. It is called Rhythm and Spice. To make sure I remember that. And the mayor and I were at a ribbon cutting or sign unveiling, whatever you call it, last Friday. And we just want to wish them well. And this restaurant took over for another restaurant that unfortunately, I believed, moved out of Franklin. And instead of, it's still in Franklin, I'm sorry, but to a different location. So we were glad that this facility got filled as quick as it did, similar food, but just enhanced and redid it. It's a beautiful business. They did up the outside a little. I think they're leaning towards having, weather permitting, dining and eating outside also. And this is down towards the New Brunswick border of Hamilton Street. So again, just wanted to thank them and wish them well.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to mention for the council, for the public, this coming Sunday, the 30th, can I foreshadow, there's an event in Edison at Raritan Center from an organization Building One, New Jersey, basically where suburbs and older suburbs are saying to the state and federal government, don't forget us when the money is allocated. Councilman Carl Wright has indicated he's going to be there. And I'm going to try and make it also, let's see, I think it's 4 p.m., Raritan Center, Sunday, September 30th, open, and encouraged to the public, as well as elected officials. Dr. Presley, VP of the Board of Education, says she'll be there. I'm not sure who else from the board will be. And I think some people, Senator Barbara Buono, representing Central New Jersey, Edison, Metuchen area, I might have that a little off, and a few others. I think Assemblyman Degnan is from around this area too, is supposed to be there. So to get our point across, basically, if you take 4 or 5 towns in central New Jersey. Our population exceeds that of any other city in the state. Our education is, funding is behind those of very urban areas. I'm not saying that they shouldn't get anything or that they should be reduced. Just remember us when the formulas come through. So that's all I'll have for today for my council comments. So thank you much. So we'll go on to item number 11 on the agenda, which is council discussion items, 6 Mile Run Reformed Church. And Dr. Chase, did you want to start this one, sir?
Yes, thank you,
I'm sorry,
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Chase.
The Open Space Committee had, up until the last couple of years, a program of making grants for restoration of historic buildings in the township, a couple to churches in Kingston to redo their doorways as the fire inspector wanted it done, but to keep the historic appearance. And then in 2010, a grant to the 6 Mile Run Reformed Church for work on the steeple and facade of the historic church there. And they had an estimate for $70,000 from a construction person that they'd worked with before. Unfortunately, he shortly fell quite ill, probably from other materials he was working with, and was unable to do this work. And when the church came back to the township to see about extending the grant, they were told that it was a one-year grant, not a two-year grant, and it could be renewed, but they would have to bid out the job, and even that got a little complicated. We thought the township could do it, but no, it was done by their architect. Ultimately, the lowest bid that came in was for $129,000, which was almost $60,000 more than they'd been awarded, plus fees for the preparation of the materials, the bid specifications. So they came to the Open Space Committee last Tuesday and asked that the Open Space Committee recommend to the council this larger sum of money to do what is needed for the tower and facade. And I should add that the church has raised a lot of money for other parts of the church complex that need work. So they really need this, and in fact, the architect has recommended that the work on the tower be done as soon as possible before the snowfall, lest a heavy snow cause severe damage. So the Open Space Committee unanimously recommended to the council to make this grant. The council actually has on its iPads a resolution to do that tonight, if possible, which would let them get started early. I know council sometimes is hesitant to pass something on such short notice, and I would understand it if they felt that way. And I see Ms. Westfield, the architect, is all ready to give a thoroughgoing presentation on the work that's necessary. So if it's
Okay. And so we're
going to have a presentation.
Oh, are we having one?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Ms. Sudam? Yeah, go ahead. You want to come over here? That's right. Were you going to make a presentation? Yeah. And your name, name, and name. Is that? I think it's on.
No.
Oh. Oh. Here comes the cavalry, the rescue.
Thank you. Robin Saddam, 29 Skillman Lane.
Thank you.
I'm there about as much as I'm at 6 Mile Run Reformed Church, and my husband's here to verify that.
Okay.
I'm an elder at 6 Mile Run, and am very grateful to the township for its support of us in the past, particularly we also received a grant for the doors, so we could keep the historic doors on Route 27 and be fire code compliant. Margaret Westfield is our architect. She helped us develop a preservation plan for this large historic structure, which is frame and constantly needs our attention and loving care. And these particular parts that we bring before you today are in the worst shape: the steeple and the facade of the church. Margaret has helped us develop the bid specs so we can get quotes on this. She'll walk you through it. I just ask you, as you're looking at this, remember what Route 27 looks like in Franklin Park. I won't ask you all to remember what it looked like when I was a kid, but I can tell you it was a lot different. We are now just about the last remaining historic structure in a 4 to 5 mile stretch. Used to be the stable for the Beekman Hotel. That's gone. That was a mistake. We don't want any more mistakes like that. That's the old Franklin Park Inn. So I ask you to please give Margaret your attention. Ask us lots of questions. I'd like you to note my fellow parishioners and neighbors who are here tonight to help support this, and we thank you.
I would just like to make one comment before we get started, and that is I want to make sure everyone is totally clear. This is a major historic site in Franklin Township. I'm a very strong advocate of a separation of church and state, but I want people to understand this is an extremely important historic structure for the township. It's probably our oldest historic structure, from what I'm told, or darn close to it. And it's worth saving, it's worth enhancing, but I want the audience to understand this has nothing to do with a church issue.
Thank you, Roz.
Hi, my name is Margaret Westfield. I'm a historic architect, and I brought my qualifications.
Excuse me, are you historic or you're an architect for historic structures?
Well, technically, 50 years is how the National Park Service defines historic, and I've passed that mark now. So both I'm historic, and the projects I work on are exclusively historic buildings. And this, of course, is one of the most beautiful 6 Mile Run church. And as requested, it's very brief, because I was told 5 minutes. So it's not as thorough as Dr. Chase suggested, but let me show you. Is there any way we could turn off that one light?
Yeah.
So bright. I know that you've got a gigantic township, and perhaps not all of you are familiar with this building. I'm talking about it as a historic landmark. I'm sorry?
It's not picking up on the mic.
Okay.
You have to keep yourself, you can hold it if you like. You have to keep yourself about 3 or 4 inches. That way we hear, and it's being video recorded. That way it's recorded properly too. Very kind of close.
This better? This good? Okay.
Not,
All right.
Not any farther.
Oh, and that's so much better. Thank you. The church was built in 1879. The same year a fire destroyed the second church. The church itself has been around since 1703. And the 6 Mile Run, of course, relates to the distance that the waterway was from New Brunswick. So the building that's standing there now, if you could go on, this is how you see it as you drive up Route 27, Lincoln Highway. The church is on the left. In the middle is a chapel that was added in 1907, and the building portion that projects out to the right is the Fellowship Hall that was added in 1958 or so, now historic. Okay. And what I'm focusing on now is the 1879 portion of the site here. Oh, by the way, over there, the farthest little building on the right is one of, it's actually 2, connected horse sheds that are original to the construction of the building. In fact, may even predate this building and go back earlier into the 1800s, and just recently we've had those restored. And it's so cool, because I think these are like the only surviving ones in the whole state of New Jersey. But anyway, I digress. So going to the church, if you would please. As you summarized things beautifully. As was said, the church first put a grant in and received a grant in order to fix the doors. So what we're talking about today is actually above that. But I just wanted to point out some of the details that make it as historic as it is. You'll notice it's completely covered with wood shingles, and then it has these beautiful door and window hoods over the pointed arch openings. All of this is reminiscent of the Gothic Revival style, and in fact, because it is a frame construction, it's called Carpenter Gothic in this instance. If you go, it's not until you get inside that you realize how intact all the historic fabric is. Next. It's like you're transported back to 1879. The woodwork is still naturally finished. It still has its original lighting fixtures. They've been electrified, but you know, those are the original gas fixtures. So it's just so intact, please. And it has these wonderful cast iron columns. Next. This is the entrance foyer. Next. And this is the main door. And I show it to you because this is really the only evidence that it's 100 and however many years, 130 years since the building was built. And that's the addition of the exit sign. And when we first, if you could go to the next one, the first thing we did was the doors, the restoration of the doors. And basically, unless you look really closely, you can't even tell, but we changed the hinging so they would open out in response to the fire code official for safety reasons. The state has a rehab subcode that allows a certain leniency in the application of codes to historic landmarks. However, life safety trumps that. So we had to do this in order to make sure that everybody had a safe way to escape if necessary. What we're doing today is looking up at the facade. The face is Route 27 and the tower. You can see the tower with the steeple. Next. And, you know, I told you how all this fabric is original to 1879. Well, as you might expect, age has and weather have taken their toll. Next. This is some of the slate above the cornice. Next. This is up on the tower. Next. Again, the tower. Just some detailing because I love it. And the louvers that are open to the weather, so the sound of the bell can come out. Here's inside with the bell, and then below the bell, if you look closely, the structure up on the third floor and the attic is just amazing. And this is looking up into the tower, and you can see the water stains on some of the wood. Next. And the congregation has done what they can to address this. You know, they've put tarps down, they've got buckets to catch the water and things like that, but it's only a stopgap measure. We really need to take care of everything now. Next. Now, you've already covered this, so I don't need to reiterate it, but if you go to the next one, just showing that we did get 5 bids in response to the public ad, and it just summarizes the costs that are involved. Next. And that's it. I would just like you to consider it's all focused on the front facade and what the public sees from the public right-of-way. Just the steeple, then what holds it up, and the facade itself. I've brought the preservation plan. I've brought all the bids. I think I gave you the significance section from the National Register just to give you a background on the church. Do you have any questions about it?
Well, while the mayor's conferring with the manager, I guess I'll jump in here, move it along. And I don't know if you're the person who would be able to answer this, but are there any other applicants right now, other than yourselves, for the historic money set aside?
You've actually, you don't have the program anymore.
Okay, I think our manager,
Yeah.
acting manager answered that.
Yeah.
Okay,
That is correct.
okay, that's good. So we don't have to decide between this building and another one.
And
I
in actuality, we've not funded this kind of thing for a few years.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I was kind of ties in. I remember one of the first things I did when I got on council is met with some of the representatives because we were trying to figure out a way to get those doors done. And finding out the price of the doors, because some people may get a little sticker shock from those numbers. I see you've chosen the lowest. I know with the doors, the numbers that started coming in, Manager Daly, myself, and others were working with some representatives to get that going, and they were a lot higher than we would have thought, but due diligence was done, and I believe it came way of some grant money. We were able to actually get that done after a few years of going around in circles with the fire department, and everybody was a win-win. So I think it's good. I'm not sure what the finished product's going to look like. You're explaining it, but
it's going to look just like it does today,
but better.
Except for it'll be intact. You know, we don't have to worry about ongoing deterioration, and the preservation will be assured for at least another 10 years.
And just two quick things. If this grant is given, work is done, is the church or any subgroup of the church have a plan for going forward, keeping been able to finance the, let's say, keeping the historical integrity of church intact, because obviously there's limits of how many grants we can give going forward?
Yes, absolutely. Not only, see, it all started when I prepared the preservation plan in 2008, and it has all the work that needs to be done inside and out is prioritized by, urgency. So the church has been focusing on the top priority level work, and while they approached the township for one of these grants, at the same time they've been moving forward on their own. They've repaired the roof of the chapel, which was like the #1 item here because the slate there is so bad, and right now, as a volunteer effort, they're working with the, what do you call the big guys? The Regional Synod, that's right. It's working with them to paint the side of the church. And after that, they're going to paint the other side of the church. But the problem with this is it's so high that we can't have volunteers work on this work.
So going forward, you have it well mapped out. And one last thing, it's not a deal breaker for me, but like a lot of the buildings that we support and support financially, the township, to keep them intact. Will the building be made available for educational or whatever you want to call it, just for people who are intrigued with history of being a church and not as accessible as some of the other buildings? But if you can comment on that, because it is obviously money for the benefit of all the residents in Franklin.
We run a lot of community events year-round at the church, Jim, and I'm usually the one called on to do the little historic tour. I hope I'm not as historic as my name, but that's my shoulder that gets tapped. And it's delightful to see how many people really are intrigued. So whether it's our upcoming Balalaika concert on October 21st, which is one of our Sunday Serenade series, we do 4 in the fall and 4 in the spring, which are open to the communities of South Brunswick, North Brunswick, Franklin, or it might be a coffee house, or it might be a musical for the kids. We try to use every one of those as a chance to say, do you know where you are? What do you think 6 Mile Run means? And then take them into the sanctuary, talk about the fact that the church burned down on a January night, and this new building was dedicated that December. Wow. And once in a while we get them up into the attic and show them how big the beams are, and describe there were no lifts, and there were no power tools, and how did they build this church? So it's a fun moment for us when we can do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anything else? Just for council and everyone else's sake, just technically, when this was put together, we didn't have this resolution on our agenda. However, on a version that we were sent via email to all of us, we did have a copy of a resolution which could go forward there. So if it's the council's decision to go forward, technically what we would do is amend the agenda to put that on, and then we would have an actual vote on it. And if the vote is positive, yes. If not, no. So is any other either discussion from the council, questions for Ms. Westfield or Ms. Sudam, or a motion to amend the agenda to bring this, which is in our on our computer. It's just listed, I believe, as agenda item 2012-16.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Chase and Councilman Vasanella. Okay, that's the motion to, first, two parts, amend the agenda so we could vote on it. So is there any discussion on that? Okay, so all in favor to amend the agenda so we can vote on this now, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion is carried. Okay, so that's before us, agenda item 2012-16, which basically covers what Councilman Chase had said. Now, is there any discussion on the resolution? Yes, the resolution. Yes, Deputy Mayor Kramer.
Just simply echoing Councilwoman Sherman's point, I am also a strict believer in separation of church and state, and if there were a deli in here, my vote would be the same. It's about the structure. It's not about who's using it, though I'm very happy to hear that it's open to the community many times. And I'm sure you would allow anyone from the community to come out on a Sunday morning for services.
Okay. Any other discussion? And just for sake, it's I believe the bottom line for us is $66,466 coming from the township's open space / historical recreation fund. Okay. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on the resolution.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
I just have to say it would be like an abomination coming down from heaven, I would think, not to vote for this. That's a beautiful, beautiful structure, and we need to restore it, yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's everyone. Okay. Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Of course, there's no... There is not a cash register in the back of the council chamber, so, but we'll get to you in as due course as we can.
Thank you very much. We invite all of you, please come when you can
Okay.
and enjoy.
Thank you.
It's part of our town fabric.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. Very good. This, again, just for public's sake, this is money that is in our open space fund. There's no extra taxes that we're assessing for this sake. It's for open space historical use, and that's what this was. Okay. Next we come to item number,
sorry,
Mayor Kramer, please.
So they used to have a grant every year. I'm wondering if Mr. Councilman Chase would want to bring that up to open space. I don't know why that was stopped, but maybe that's something that should be investigated.
Well, just to fill you in, they decided to at least suspend it while both the recreation needs survey was carried out and our consultant Wayne McCabe's survey of township-owned historic buildings. And of course, there's a lot of needs for the township-owned historic buildings. And also, most of the grant requests we had gotten in the past were from the Meadows Foundation for one or another things on the township-owned historic buildings that the Meadows Foundation managed. And subsequently, the Meadows Foundation brought up that actually their leases said that the township would be responsible for all things greater than $1,000 on those buildings, while the Meadows Foundation would do things that were less than $1,000. And in fact, of course, we've had to fund out of open space funds considerable cleanup at the Van Wickle House consequent on the last flood. I think we have approved some, I hope we have approved the most emergency items on Mr. McCabe's list, mainly fixing the roof of the Dunn house. Mr. Vornlacher visited the Dunn house and reported that he could see the sky through the hole in the roof there, and instructed Victor Stevens to at least put something over the hole pending the start of properly replacing the roof on the Dunn house. And that was much the largest of the items on the most emergency list. But basically, we have, Mr. McCabe has given us items totaling, between $100,000 and $200,000 for each of the next 3 years that we really need to work on. And these are just the most immediate items. And of course, one of his recommendations was that we put particularly the Dunn House, but also Tulip Wood in order, and then seek to sell them with a historic preservation easement on them so that they would be maintained in their historic condition, but would no longer be the township's responsibility. We'd probably do less of the work on Tulip Wood because, you know, if you have a kitchen that needs renovation, it's better to let the new owner decide how they want to renovate it than have the township do it. Plus, under the prevailing wage laws, it's also generally cheaper for a private party to do the renovation. We would have to pay a higher rate. But that's really the status of our historic preservation efforts at present.
Okay, thank you. So we are now at item number 12 on the agenda, and thanks for visiting us. We're now at item number 12 on the agenda. Pardon me, yes, 12. Approval of minutes for the work session regular meeting of September 11th, 2012, Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Is there a motion for approval of the aforementioned minutes?
So moved. I have given the clerk just a couple of corrections of the spelling of names of the people from the Central Jersey Transportation Forum. I don't think that really rises to the level of a amendment of the minutes, but I'll move the minutes.
Okay. Okay, so those are as adjusted. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on approval of the minutes.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer.
He's outside.
Oh, he's not here. Mayor Levine,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman,
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella,
Abstain.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're good. Okay. Okay, next we have item number 13 on the agenda, approval of the warrants. The warrants are the bills that we pay. Warrants in the amount of $1,624,962.21 on September 24th, 2012 are presented to the Township Council for payment. Is there a motion for the warrants to be paid as read?
Motion to pay is read.
In a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on payment of the warrants.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Mayor Levine,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman,
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella,
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have an ordinance hearing. Ordinances are, they go into law, are voted on usually twice. The first time, they're voted on for introduction, and then usually, well, it's usually about a month later, but recently it's been the next meeting. I think clerk's been expediting it a little bit, so usually 2 to the next meeting or the next month, it's voted on a second time. And at that second meeting, there's a public hearing where we'll hear anything on anyone's mind about that particular ordinance, and if it's passed a second time, that ordinance will go into law. So we have only one today for ordinance hearings, and that is item 14A on the agenda, ordinance number 3991-12. It's an ordinance amending the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly, Chapter 226, Traffic and Vehicles, Section 226-10, stopping or standing prohibited during certain hours, add Marshall Street. And what this is put in on Marshall Street, it's stopping and standing is prohibited during certain hours, and I believe it's supposed to be too narrow for it to have stopping and standing, as I'm remembering. Okay, thanks. Okay, so is there motion? Okay, the township attorney has approved the affidavit of publication. The public hearing is now in order. Is there a motion to open the meeting for public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
A second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on this particular ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand.
Seeing no one come forward from the public, I move that we close the public session.
And a second? Okay. Moved and seconded to close public portion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Public discussion is closed for this ordinance. Thank you very much. Public hearing is closed for this ordinance. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please pull the counts on item 14A, ordinance 3991-12, please.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Levine,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman,
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella,
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. We do not have any ordinance introductions for today, which is item 15 on the agenda. So next we have item number 16, consent agenda. Consent agenda is items which are usually of a basic routine nature, which can be voted on all at one time. It is any council person's prerogative, however, to take any item off for a separate vote as he or she sees fit. So we have items 16A through 16T. They're listed on the consent agenda portion of this meeting, and they're presented to the Township Council for adoption. Is there a motion for the consent agenda? Questions?
Mayor,
Councilman Vasanella.
I don't know if I necessarily want an item pulled. I did want perhaps some clarity on item 16E, which is packet page number 155, and that's a resolution for a tax appeal settlement between PSE and G in Franklin Township. And my question simply is, the original assessment in 2011 was $3,468,000, about $3.5 million, and I see the judgment is down to $1,100,000. I'm just wondering, there's probably a simple answer. I don't see it in my paperwork, but that it would have gone down, like 200 or 300% in value. Is there where the land and the improvements were separated out? I don't know if anybody sees the document I'm speaking of, Resolution 16E.
Ms. Viero, did you want to?
Yeah, and I would have asked the manager earlier. I had just noticed this recently when I was looking over the numbers and the stipulation of settlement. I mean, often it's more than I'd like us to see give back, but at least they're, it makes a little more sense, the change. This, I didn't see any supportive information. Is there any?
It was a judgment by the county tax board.
Oh, it wasn't something that was negotiated?
According to this, it was the, where are we? You're on 16?
No, it's not a judgment, it's a requested judgment. It is a settlement. We wouldn't vote on it if it was a judgment.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong.
And I don't have, Councilman, I apologize, I don't have anything in, this was done by the Tax Appeal Council, so I don't have anything in my...
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I would have...
Yeah, it was just part of their normal settlement.
I just gave the hard copy to the acting manager.
Yeah, what it is, Councilman, is part of the settlement negotiations. This is what the both parties agreed to.
Yeah, and usually something that dramatic, from $3.5 million down to $1 million, might be just some paperwork to let us know, whatever the reason is, whether it's.
If it's a utility, typically it is something that has moved from being taxable to the non-taxable
To a
category.
non-taxable, yep.
And the only thing that I could say is that I don't think that there's anything that would prevent us from waiting 2 weeks and getting you a brief explanation, because I don't know what the answer to the question is either, so.
Yeah, I know they
It
have a
should
big
be.
presence here. I know
It's
the property in
typically
question.
with PSE&G, I don't think that this is a circumstance that it's something that was valued at $3 million that's now only worth $1 million. My suggestion is it's probably something, it's a substation. Yeah, and so what happened is that it's a question of delineating what is equipment and what's realty. And that's typically what the difference is, Council.
I mean, that some of the equipment fixed to the land may not be something that should
have been taxed, correct.
Part of the.
Exactly.
But, okay. It's, prior assessments obviously had them, and I'm just. Okay.
Well,
I'm sure it may be a valid stipulation settlement. It's just very dramatic without.
Once again, I don't think that there's anything
Okay.
Objectionable to holding it for 2 weeks and just getting an explanation as to what it is. Obviously, it's a $2 million reduction, so it's an appropriate question to ask.
Okay. Would you like that taken off?
I would at least be voted on separately, and whatever the majority council wants to do.
I would take it off.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would motion to have it,
Just make a motion to remove
I
it from
guess
the
I'll just
agenda?
motion to remove from the agenda, be the easiest thing. Okay.
Correct. Or table it to the next meeting, and just make a motion to table it to the next meeting.
I'll
We'll
make a
have an
motion to
explanation
table
for
to the next meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so that's item.
Second.
16, E. Okay, motion to table item 16E, tax appeal PSE&G 2012 to the next meeting. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion is carried. Okay, we'll see that, I suspect, at our next meeting. Okay, very good. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. Anything else from anyone? Or a motion for the consent agenda as adjusted?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
In the second. Okay, so that is a motion for the consent agenda 16A through 16T with the exception of E. So Ms. McCarthy, can you please poll the council on the consent agenda as adjusted?
Councilman Chase.
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer.
Yes.
Mayor Levine.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman.
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. That leads us to item 17, resolutions voted on separately, of which we have one today. And usually it comes to this one if it's submitted a little later after the agenda is put together. That's why often, but not exclusively, we'll see something in this section. So this is item 17A, Resolution 12-464, authorize issuance of special event permit, Rayhouse Holding, LLC. Farm Tourism Pumpkin Picking Hayride Corn Maze Festivities, September 29th through October 31st, 2012, weekends only, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is presented to the Township Council for adoption. Is there a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please poll the council on item 17A, Resolution 12-464, please.
Councilman Chase.
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer.
Yes.
Mayor Levine.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman.
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have item 18, old business appointments to boards and commissions. Do we have any for this evening from the council? If not, originally we did have, it was listed on the agenda, a executive session item. We're no longer going to be holding that. No need to now. Which, if nothing else, leads us to item 19. Pardon me.
You ended the boards and commissions just a little bit early. I'm just reminding the clerk, though she usually remembers for herself, to start collecting attendance on people on the boards and commissions for this year so that we can use it to make our decisions for next year. And also whether people want to be reappointed, et cetera. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else along those lines? Or any lines? Thanks. Okay. So if nothing else, we come to item number 19, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. We are adjourned. We can